Hey folks, I wanted to show you a couple of ways that we can loop around a folder and really exhibit what we learned in chapter 11 while creating a function that we used in chapter 10. So I want to hold this open. This is glob. I want to show you that. I'm in php.net, and then I'm going to use another link in php.net, which is readdir. Okay. Now, both of these are really cool things that allow us to work through sections, okay? So what I'm going to do is this block of code right here, this is my guy, okay? And basically I'm going to take this line of code, and this is the proper way to loop through a directory. So I'm going to call this, we'll call this, I don't know, dir.php. So this is called dir.php. And what we're doing is we have to test to see as we loop around the directory, well, if it's false. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file handle, okay? This will be called handle, and it's going to be equal to open dir, but I'm going to make a star out of that. And what this is going to do is open up, actually I'm going to try something different here. I'm just going to open up this. So this is the same thing you see in links. It's a /, which means the same directory. Okay, and that's borrowed straight from the php.net. Now I'm going to go into my localhost. We're going to play with this for a second. So this is dir.php, and this is what I have. Look at that, and I can kind of bring it down a little bit and show you the folder structure right here. So basically, I'm looping through all the directories. So here's my .ds store. There's a lot of stuff here. There's an invisible file, there's newsletter, there's images, there's that kind of stuff. So very cool, right? So let's make it a little easier. Instead of using a carriage, this bad PHP, which has double quoted strings, or double quoted variables, what I'm going to do is do a break tag. So I'm going to do single quotes with the break tag, but now we can kind of get a better feel of what we're looking at. So when I hit refresh, that is what we see. We see a dot, a double dot. Dot is the same directory. Double dot would be one directory above. Then we see some files. Okay, so this block of code is literally looping through my directory. Okay, now here's the glob section, and if we scroll down a little bit, watch this. If I were to do this, this is another way to do it, and I'm using basically the glob function. So glob will find a pattern, star equals all in .txt. This means all files that end in txt, which we only have one of. And I'm saying for each glob star as file name, well, let's output the file name itself and add the file size of that file name, and then add a break tag. So I'm just taking the code that I got from php.net and showing you a couple different ways to do this, okay? And we're showing the file size, which will tell me the file size of the file. So let's go to localhost again, try this, and I get immediately a error, and let's see if we can figure out what this is. So this is for each glob star as file name. Well, we already know this works, right? So let's hit this, and let's just simply echo out the scalar file name and see what happens. Okay, and I have, oh, there's the question mark. I think that's what it was. It was just me making I like to troubleshoot in front of you folks, but not if we're wasting class time. So let's go ahead and hit dir, and there it is. So literally, I have the same thing, but with the glob. Okay? So both these are ways to output files. Okay, so what I'd like to talk about with this is looping through a directory. And what I'd like to talk about is how to get access to things that are folders. Okay, and this will teach us a little bit about functions. So I've got this loop of files, right? Let's. I'm going to comment out this. I'm going to keep it with the top, and this is basically as long as the read directory handle has files and doesn't. Like, as long as this is not false, then let's make the entry equal to each one of those values, and that's the entry. So how would we separate files from folders? Because if we look at our list now, and I'll just save this and hit refresh. If we look at our list, you're going to see these files and folders. We've got a folder called images. We've got a folder called uploads. Well, I would like to go into those folders and see what's in them. So in order to do that, I need to separate whether something is a file or a folder. So we're opening up this file, and I'm going to change this to the scalar file real quick. And this can be scalar file as well. Okay. And what I can do is just say, okay, if is dir, and it's underscore dir, if the file is a folder, let's echo scalar file, and then the dot, and we'll go is a folder. Otherwise, and when I say otherwise, that means that you know an else is coming. Else, echo file, and is a file. Okay. Okay. So there we go with that. Now let's see what happens when we do that. Okay. So the dot is a folder, and I need to add break tags in that so it makes a little more sense. So I'm going to hit refresh again, and you see is a folder is a folder. Those two things are a folder. Upload example is a file. This is a file. PHP is a file. Image is a folder. Uploads is a folder. So we can tell now which are folders and which are files. Okay, cool. Well, there's a couple things here that I don't want to see, and that's the dot, the double dot, or this invisible file. If a file has a dot in front of it, it's invisible, and PHP can read it, but the user certainly shouldn't be able to. So what I'm going to do with that is test this. I'm going to test to see if the file, if file is equal to a dot, or scalar file is equal to a double dot, or that's what the pipes are, scalar file is equal to dot ds underscore store, which is a string, then let's make sure I spelled that right because it's ds store, perfect. And if that's the case, then what we're going to do is continue. Now I'm only making one statement, so I don't need the curly braces, but that will clean that up quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh, and you see now I have everything. Okay, so why am I doing this? Well, if it is a folder, I'm going to want to recurse through that folder. And there's the word recursion. What that means is we're going to use functions to recall the function to loop through inner directories. So literally, we need a function to recurse through subdirectories. Okay. All right, next step. Let's put this sucker in a function. I'm going to call this function recurse. Okay. And this function is going to recurse with this block of code. And then we can just call the function down here the same way our lesson plan told us to. Okay. So there's recurse. Okay, so now that that's done, let's give it a directory to recurse through. So I'm going to, an initial load, just recurse through this top directory. And this will be dir. This is the directory that will recurse through. So I'm going to take this handle and put it right in here and use the variable handle, or dir, excuse me, that holds the value of what directory we're going to loop through. Okay, so basically this function loads into memory, and then we call this function right here and pass this value to this variable. Now we have a handle for open directory, and we can loop through that. Okay, so let me show you what happens here. So now if I hit refresh, the same thing should happen. But what if I want to recurse through, I don't know, uploads or images? Let's do images because I have a few files in there. So I want to recurse through the images folder. Boom. You see I have my images? Cool, right? So now I can point it to any directory. But these are subdirectories. So basically, I need to recurse through this function. Need to recurse here. Okay, so if it's a folder or file, we need to recurse through that. So all we need to do is call the recurse function again, right? But instead of passing the dot slash, I need to recurse through the file, because that file is the directory we want to recurse through, okay? So this recursion would now be able to recurse. So watch what happens when I do this. When I hit refresh, I have, look, the PHP, then I have my images folder. Then I have everything in that images folder. Then I have my uploads folder, I have everything inside that uploads folder. And then after that, I have my files, another folder, and these are all the functions that are in that folder, and then I have a zip that's in the root level. Okay, so this is an example of what recursion is. Basically, if the file is a folder, that's what is directory is. Let's echo that file and then add that file and recurse through it. Okay, so basically this is the beginning of a content management system, but I just want you to learn this code because it's one function calling within a function and being able to recurse. Okay, so I can pass another argument with indentation so that I can indent these things. But right now we've literally recursed through every file and every folder and all the files inside that folder. And if I go ahead and add another folder inside the uploads folder and put a file in there, it'll recurse as well. So that is recursion, and that's how we use functions to do it.